following episode of DevFM originally aired on Friday, March 31st, 2023 at 7 p.m.
Oh yeah, coming at you live from Bozeman, Montana on March 31st, 2023. This is DevFM! Hey! With your host, me, Devon Brosnan. And in the studio with me tonight, I got a special guest host. We got Chris Naro. What is going on, man?
What's up, Dev? Thanks for having me, man. I'm really excited for this one.
Oh, man, I'm so excited. Thanks for being here with us. And with me, I got my special sidekick.
Chopped liver.
Chopped liver over here. Jorgen Johnson. What's up, Jorgen?
Hello, people.
Oh, hello, people. That's right, man. We are tuned into DevFM. That was a nice, hard little stop right there. Still working on the transitions, I guess. We're doing it makeshift up in here. We're gonna have we have a great show lined up for you guys tonight. A fantastic show. This is the first time I think we have a real guest host in here, because Jorgen, you don't count, buddy. Sorry.
No, a talented guest host.
There we go. Talented. Chris, what do you do? What's your thing? What's your steez?
Yeah, so I'm the Drumming Realtor, guys. I do real estate during the day, and I either am at a rehearsal or playing a gig at night. So it's a pretty nice lifestyle. I really love it. I've been playing music since an early age, and
how early is early age?
Around 8 years old.
Oh my gosh!
I started taking drum set lessons. So
When did you start real estate?
Real estate was actually 4 years ago, so not as long.
Okay.
Not as long, but love it almost just as much as music.
Man.
It's been great.
You love it almost as much as music.
It is a very close second. It's
wow.
very, very close.
That's fantastic. So you love what you do in both ways. You
Absolutely.
live in a lot of people's dreams.
Well, hey, I'm living mine, which, that's all I can say. So
good for you. That was well said,
Thank
man.
you.
Well, we got a big night in store for y'all. We have I don't even know, I didn't name the playlist. I took about 20 minutes sitting here trying to come up with a good name. It's just hip-hop. We're playing hip-hop up in here tonight. In the background, you're going to be hearing a song by Jay Dilla. You're going to hear a lot of Jay Dilla. This might as well be the Jay Dilla appreciation episode.
There's your playlist name.
Jay Dilla appreciation. We have hip-hop, but a lot of Jay Dilla. This is Sunbeams playing in the background behind us. You're going to be hearing a lot of that tonight. You got the usual show, guys. We're going to be talking with Chris up in here. We're going to be bantering, joking, making conversation. Usually Jorgen's a lot better than that than I am, so that's why we brought him along. I'm just here to annoy you all. And soon there'll be a queue, and my show will be taken over by them. So looking forward to that. He'll be called Jorg FM probably by next episode.
Oh, he's on to me.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Taking over, man. I know what your steez is. And then we're going to be going through some underwriters, of course. Those are the guys that support us. That's why we're here, man. That's how we get to do what we do. We're chilling out here in the studio, and it's thanks to you guys, the underwriters. We appreciate you supporting us. And also the Raise the Roof event. Did you guys go to that at all? You guys go to Raise the Roof?
No, I was busy.
It was busy, huh?
No, I was busy.
Oh, you were busy. What were you doing?
Lowering the roof.
Doing the exact opposite of what you should be doing?
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
no, tell me more. What is the Raise the Roof event?
Well, that was, what was it? Was it last week, I believe? It was last week. Because I remember that's when the episode that I definitely was supposed to do it live from there. Was not able to do it, though. But at least we're doing it live here tonight. But yeah, Raise the Roof. It was a lot of live music from these guys out here. We got what was that? The Ocean Lee Band. Their
Lee debut.
Debut. That's right.
That's right.
They did fantastic.
Yeah.
We got the Ben and Abel Band.
Abel Band.
Yeah.
They closed it out.
Yeah, they did.
Some great comedy to start off the night.
Yeah. Who was some of the comedy performers you saw?
Oh, Owen Gifford. He stood out
Gifford.
to me. He was. There's a handful of them, but those are the guys from down at the Last Best.
Last Best. Yeah. Down at where are they at? The Zebra? Is that where they're still going?
They are. Yeah, like right below. Yep, Zebra Poorhouse.
Nice.
Right down off Mendenhall there.
Yeah. It's somewhere around here.
Somewhere
it's
around
Bozeman.
this big old city of ours.
Yeah, it was cool, guys. It was for KGVM. We got to raise a lot of money. If you came out and supported us, then you're the best. Thank you for being out there. I'm glad you guys had some fun too. It was a fun little event, and we're going to be having more of those in the future. And we were giving out ticket giveaways. There was a raffle, drinks. Was there food? I forgot there was food.
There's a bag of chips in the green room.
That's food. That's food to me.
Fair enough.
Yeah, catered. Sounds
I had
like
my fair share.
all eaten by Jorgen. Oh man. Well, we could sit here and banter all night. Maybe we're gonna roll into some music here. I really appreciate Chris being here because I had no idea. I knew he knew music, but we've been in here for about an hour just warming up, and man, this guy knows a lot. So I can't wait to pick his brain about that. Stay tuned, guys. You have a great episode here on DevFM, KGVM Bozeman 95.9 FM, or kgvm.org if you're tuned in online. Appreciate you being here with us. Let's go ahead and get into the first track here. What do we got here tonight, guys? We got, I believe, oh, that's right. We're starting off with a little Jay-Z. So, man, I like that the beat drop right there. That was good timing. Jay-Z, In My Lifetime remix. We're just going to roll right into it. Let's go ahead and get it going. Like I said, you guys are tuned into DevFM. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's get her going.
That is not Jay-Z.
That is not
That is JC.
Whoops. We're starting the show over. All right, here we go. My God.
In my lifetime, in my lifetime. What's the meaning of life? It's the thought of a ride that make my eyes wide. I'm caught up, I'm trying to make all of my dreams materialize. So I sorta say my goodbyes to the straight and narrow. I found the new route, you about to see my life change. I make the means justify the ends. I make the cream materialize keys to a Benz. And so I'm rolling for now, holding down the fort. Who's controlling? The ground's gotta blow them. Yup, I should've told them. My first felony's approaching. Cop my first key, took a freeze, now I'm frozen. I bought a black Mac, I'm out of control, losing bankrolls on blackjack. You gotta know it always crossed my mind at first, be tapping the lines like Gregory Hines. Still on the phone discussing my biz like it can never be mine. I know the price, know the risk, know the wrongs and the right. Still my blood flows ice, it's just my life. What's the meaning? What's the meaning of life? In my lifetime. What's the meaning of life? In my lifetime. I like the bass with the ass. Cold cash. The big Willie get you chilly when I pass. Is it just a mirage? All these girls think of God. Is this world my world? Am I the star? My star, baby pit dog. I'm getting too large. I'm smoking cigars. All chicks is hollering about chica. The whole city's buzzing. Wasn't checking for me a dozen or so months ago. Now I'm all they know. I'm a person. Letting the crystals breathe at the bar. The gold bar under my sleeve. Vernacular 50 G's. I'm talking big cheese. You gotta be down to dig these. Give me a rush like you wouldn't believe. My head's about to bust, accelerating what drives me. Hope I don't gotta die to see. See, I can't lie to me. I know the price, know the risk, know the wrongs and the right. Still my blood flows ice, it's just my life. What's the meaning? What's the meaning of life? In my lifetime. What's the meaning of life? In my lifetime. From the beginning, see, we never seen the ending. Running up in all the women, all the linen, all the jewels. We sported Pellies, gold dollars, and Pirelli sports cars. The good life, they give you a belly, but that's cool as I zone in the Al Capone. Watch me, cause the Medusa's head on Versace turned me to stone. Now my poems just ain't poems, they bloody when I recite them. Bones get disconnected like the phones. Now, I'm a hardened criminal with game like the garden. On my pen pals, life controlled by the warden. Still a thrill makes me blind to the fact I can do real time. I'm a prisoner of my crimes. Know the price, know the risk, know the wrongs and the rights. Now I'm incarcerated for my life. What's the meaning? What's the meaning of life? In my lifetime. What's the meaning of life? In my lifetime.
What is the meaning of life, guys?
42.
Nice. Chris,
Number.
Chris, what's the meaning of life? Put you on the spot.
You know, I think it's music, baby. Music makes everything work, man.
Really?
Music
Music's
is
the
love,
meaning
man.
of life, huh?
Yep.
Spoken like a musician.
That's right, man.
I love it.
Like, I really think it's a mortgage plan.
Saving your money and being fiscally responsible is always great too.
That is the meaning of life, I think.
Yeah,
because then it allows you to do other things.
That's right.
That's what life is all about. Save that money, guys.
What a good song to kick off, though. Those kicks.
Yeah, you like that? You like that? It was a good little track, huh?
Background singers sound great.
I always start off with the best track, and it just all goes downhill from here. And that's right, guys. The DevFM promise. We just play the worst music.
We start mediocre and we get worse.
Yep. That's true. Hey, I don't know, man. Tell me are there any other stations out here that are playing hip hop at all? Have you guys heard it at all on the radio out here?
Yeah, I heard this.
Can't say I have.
This song it's called Old Town Road or something.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a hip hop.
Hippie,
that is one hip hop.
Quite hoppy.
Yeah, hippie, quite hoppy. That's very true. Well, guys, that was Jay-Z In My Lifetime remix. That came out in 98. Wow, that was a 98 classic right there. A lot of you weren't even born yet, were you? I don't even think Jorgen was born yet.
I don't think there's any Gen Zers listening to the radio, are there? Are you out there, Gen Zers?
Yeah, if you're a Gen Zer, call in.
Yeah, pick up that phone and dial the number. They don't see we're speaking Japanese. They don't know.
Yeah, they're like, what is that? Hit me up on AIM Messenger. we're on MySpace as well. So if you guys you want to give us a quick shout out, just do it through there. That's the best way to do it. Actually, I think that's where you said you do most of your business is through MySpace. Is that right?
I still have my MySpace wall set up, man. I got the leopard print on both sides, and I got when you log into my page, there's like some Britney Spears song starts playing. You remember how it was? I mean,
of course,
it's the best.
Britney Spears, good.
Again.
We should do a Britney Spears episode up in here, huh?
Yeah, man. I got a friend named Tom on there. I don't know how I met him, but he's my friend.
Permanent friend, man.
Yeah.
Just remember, guys, you are never alone. Tom is your friend. He's always there for you. Never forget that, guys, okay? All right, we're going to keep rolling along with the music here. You guys are tuned into DevFM, KGVM Bozeman. We got Jorgen and Chris up in here. We're going to go ahead and move into the next track here, and we're going to start some little J Dilla conversation, I think, here soon, because I want to pick your brain about that, Chris.
Cool.
This next one is called Little Brother by Black Star. Black Star has a two-man duo with Yasin Bey, otherwise known as Mos Def, and Talib Kweli. The two, man, these guys are great. This was actually off their album, not their album, it was for a movie soundtrack called The Hurricane, which is a boxing movie turned into like a crime drama featuring Denzel Washington. Fun little fact for you guys.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Well, you're not cultured, so I don't expect you to hear about it. That's why I'm the host, baby, because I'm the cultured one. I'm teaching you.
Wikipedia had nothing to do with that.
No, definitely not loaded up on my screen right now. I'm just reading verbatim from the Wikipedia site. That's why we got Jack in here. Jack, you're our Jamie tonight.
Yeah, pull up some info for
Yeah, we got Jack up here in the studio too. But yeah, we're going to roll in the Little Brother right here, and then we're going to talk a little bit about J Dilla, because you guys, if you don't know about J Dilla, I don't know who doesn't know about J Dilla. But if you don't, you're about to be educated, because that gentleman was a rock star in his own right. Let's get into Little Brother by Black Star.
Doing this song for you. The revolution will not be televised or broadcast live on the
my little brother.
My man Mo said it's personal. I'm saying?
Struggling.
Gotta start from right up in here.
Listen.
Your eyes will cry, you know you can't stop, you know you can't stop, you know you can't stop, you know you can't stop when we rap.
We rep the ain't gods, ain't nobody can't start. No party like us, we crush the faint hearts. Some halsey the same marks. Walking the main blocks, painted with blood that's still hot. So deep it stained socks. The pain sparks frustration, situations lead to hate, and some deal with drug distribution. Others off the plantation, some know the code of the street, some got a college education. Come down on the weekend and peep the conversation.
On the corner, units charmed out, ghetto looking bombed out. Police waited the road for those who walk the wrong route. Shorties going all out, they got their swords drawn out, ready to brawl out. Getting full till they fall out, black like Morehouse. 40-O's is tossed out for brothers that they more about. Get red till it's dawn out, whether they broke or flossed out. Honeys pass they drawers out, looking for a ticket out the poorhouse. A jungle out here, lions keep their claws out, fangs and jaws out. We just get forced out, names is called out. Ghetto fame is sold out. You wanna be the man that they talk about. I walked out, I had some things on my mind to sort out. I thought about the wild circumstance we born out. Remember myself at your age and I was just just like you. If that was now, I don't know what I would do. My ears is closest to me, so what I say to you was going for me. So we both still growing today, but where you at, I was, and where you been, I left. Utilize my experience to guide your step. Some people get love but don't command respect. It's something that you can't buy with a check, or a roll of your legs, or icy links that hang from your neck. If it's real, who need to deal with the special effects?
Come here, yo, let me drop this on ya. Look, they got you cornered. The corner of the block is hot, I ain't got to warn ya, cause I see you every day, trapped in every way. And shit, I'm a thug, and that's all that I can say. Who are you anyway, Mary J? I spent many nights awake, watching you while you sleep, trying to figure out how to be the example, cause talk is cheap. As you walk the street, study cats on the real. In a convo, just make your point and relax and chill. Who's gonna wanna destroy each other in a cipher instead of Bill? Be a man of will, don't be standing still. If you don't plan ahead, then you plan to fail. Dudes be in a daze when the ways reveal like they funny style, but I'm not laughing. Serious against making money while the police is passing. Can't wait for opportunity to knock, you gotta make it happen. It ain't about no spectacular ways of rapping, just immaculate ways of action.
Little brother, I know that times is hard. Listen, keep your mind on God, stay clear of danger and harm, and you'll get along. I sing my song for little brothers out there in the street, struggling to make ends meet. Gotta hold the heat, struggling so hard to compete. Stay clear, danger and harm. Stay on the job, try to stay strong. Keep moving on, you keep moving on, you keep moving on, keep moving on, keep moving on, keep moving on. Little brother, this goes out to you. But little brother, Detroit City for you. Little brothers out in New York, and little brothers out in California, hey, little brothers out in Cadillac, little brothers focusing on the night, little brother trying hard to supply, little brother just keep your eyes.
Oh yeah, little brother.
This song makes me think of you.
Really? Yeah, I mean,
Kind of like a little brother. Both height.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I guess that I'll take it that you see me as family. And I think that's nice.
There you go.
What a compliment.
What a spin.
Yes. Man, we were talking in between. We were talking about how Questlove has a great video about him talking about the song Little Brother. I think I played this on a past playlist, actually.
Questlove, shout out to the Roots.
Yeah, shout out to the Roots. But yeah, he was talking about how Jay Dilla just sat there and programmed that entire song, like each little kick, each little drum beat. Everything is programmed, and he's just going off, just making that beat that comes together. And man, what a nice little tune, huh?
Very cool tune.
What do you know about Jay Dilla? You knew a lot about Jay Dilla, and was he an inspiration for you?
You know, definitely as a musician, he really had a lot of respect for the mother of hip hop, which is jazz. All right, and he really revolutionized the way hip hop music was produced. He came out, in the 1990s in the, underground hip hop scene in Detroit. Yeah. And his instrument was what came out was a Kai was the brand, and it was called an MPC. Not a non-playable character, but MPC, which means Music Production Center, basically. And you could use this thing like Dev was saying. You can chop up music and assign it to different what they call drum pads, or these little basically trigger pads on the MPC device itself. And you could basically take a record and use a 1/4-inch cable, and now you're turning analog signal into the MPC, and now it's turning it into what's called MIDI, which is now digital information that you can actually assign to those buttons. So like Dev was saying, he basically was playing on that whole track. It wasn't a programmed drum beat that plays like you'd think. Mm-hmm. It's actually him with his hands playing on the actual digital instrument and creating that music using the timing,
the tempo, everything with it as well.
Now, so Chris, as a traditional drummer yourself, do you take a cynic standpoint? Is that cheating in your eyes, or does that just open up more options as a musician?
Yeah, that's a great question, Jorgen, and I really appreciate that. It is. The way he played the instrument, with it being a digital instrument, people would look at that and go, it's unnatural, it's digitized, it's robotic. But that was the thing about Jay Dilla, is that a lot of producers and a lot of people who make hip-hop music or music in general that has these very intricate beats and there's a kind of rhythmic center to it, there's a thing called quantization. And if you're making a track and let's say you're inputting, instead of programming the drums, you're inputting them with like a MIDI controller, which can be nowadays can be a keyboard, like a piano. You can actually have the drum pads on there, or on an MPC, whatever you want to use. But the cool thing about Jay Dilla is he would play his beats in, and they would have these human errors. They would have this kind of latency, or maybe a beat was a little early. And we can actually, as we listen to more of these Jay Dilla tunes, you'll hear the bass drum is a little late. You'll hear the snare drum clap a little early. But that kind of human error and that human element to it.
A bit of authenticity to it all.
Exactly.
Yeah, more organic that way, and not more processed.
Exactly. So if he quantized all this stuff, it wouldn't have that natural, like if you closed your eyes and listen to those samples, you can imagine a drummer behind a kit playing that. Right. Whereas if you quantize something, it's absolutely perfect. Yeah, some music can groove like that, but a lot of stuff like this hip hop, especially, it relied on that kind of imperfect nature.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of pop music, you'll have that more perfect set for it, and it works for pop music. But with hip hop, it's about the soul.
Yeah,
it's about the soul. It's about the person making it. I mean, not saying pop isn't like that either, but there's something special when it comes to hip hop, when it's creating the beat coming together like that.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of human authenticity when it comes with it, and then you can appreciate it more. And it's something, like I said, something special that comes behind it.
That's right.
But especially you being a drummer, have you ever messed around with the programming yourself, or a MIDI or MPC?
I've played some old MPCs that had some really cool samples, and drum controllers go back to even like the late 70s. Lindrum was actually a couple of the first people to put them into an analog instrument, and you would be able to program different drum sounds. It also came with it's prepackaged drum sounds, which it's funny enough nowadays when people go back and want to use those more authentic late 70s, maybe even early 80s drum, sounds, they're going back to the Lindrum. They want that snare drum, they want that specific sound that thing made. And it's unbelievable that the people can go to lengths of circuitry and switching boards just to get certain sounds. But my experience with them are pretty limited, to be honest. I used to, input MIDI drums into a lot of the tracks that I made with the band I was in back in Missoula. It was very hip-hop based. But, nowadays I program things on my keyboard. Like I said, I use a regular MIDI keyboard that has, 48 keys, and the lower half of the keyboard I can use to get any kind of drum sound and program it in.
That's right, because you can split it on the keyboard as well, right? So
I've
seen it where
right.
you can I've seen people where they're programming the drums with their left hand, and on the right hand, on the higher side of the keys, you're playing playing the piano or whatever sound you want to tune into.
Oh, yeah. There's tons of opportunities for that, and playing live, comping with yourself on the drums. I mean, there's some incredible talents out there that can do both at the same time, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's a really great way to just zero in on the analog kind of sound that they were going after with this early hip-hop. And the different sounds you can pull from it. And in Jay Dilla's case, he had so much great, musical information that he pulled from Ahmad Jamal. I love how the beat dropped right there. That was cool.
Right.
Ahmad Jamal and all these early
jazz
jazz
that's what
guys.
I was going to ask. Did this analog approach, did this kind of open the way? I think of like a MF Doom or a Jay Dilla. Did this approach open the door for samples?
Absolutely did. And funny enough, and we were talking a little bit before the show, but ironically enough, a band called A Tribe Called Quest, one of the guys in there, Q-Tip, right? Mm-hmm. He actually knew Jay Dilla through a friend, and then eventually introduced Jay Dilla to Kanye West. And Kanye West was, at the time, you got to think this is probably like the late 90s.
Oh yeah.
Maybe 98. He met him, and he was coming out of the Detroit underground scene and really had no outlet, but he met other producers like Kanye West, and he actually inspired Kanye West to make his own bedroom album using an Akai MPC. And his actual influence as far as playing those samples in, and like you're saying, that kind of analog or more acoustic sounding drums, even though it's being played or input into a digital instrument, that human element really carried over. And you can even hear on Kanye West's earlier albums, he's just like Jay Dilla. He doesn't quantize anything. And unlike Jay Dilla, he's not as good as a drummer. So you do hear kind of mess ups and imperfections that maybe Jay Dilla would have corrected, but they're still in there.
So it's almost like the imperfections almost become a little bit of the artist's personality.
The personality.
Yes.
Yeah, you can almost identify it, especially with Kanye in his later work, because his later albums, there's almost like, there's a great example on a song called So Appalled off his album off of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. And there's this part in the audio where it just sort of slips up by like a millisecond, but you can hear it, and it's sort of defined his imperfections in future albums. It has that little cut, and it almost seems intentional past a certain point.
Almost like the song wouldn't be the same without it.
Yeah, and you almost it because
clean,
of that. Yeah, it adds a little bit to it. But man, you do know a lot about Jay Dilla, man. I love it. You're the perfect first guest to have on here, man.
Guest for the hip hop episode.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad that worked out. I was like, man, what should we do? I'm glad we went with hip hop.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, man. Well, we can keep talking. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the next song. I'm sure we'll have some more conversation to come with it. You guys are tuned in to KGVM Bozeman 95.9 or KGVM.org, or you're listening in the future and you're listening on my website, devonbrosnan.com/devfm. And welcome to the future. Future. Man, if you're in the future, how is it? Hope you guys are doing all right out there. Well, this background track's about to cut out here, which means we're going to have to loop it. But we're going to go into Jay-Z again. This one is Somewhere in America. I love the beat on this one. I believe it's actually a Timbaland beat, if I'm not mistaken. Man, do you know about Timbaland? We can go.
Oh, man. Him and Justin Timberlake.
Woo!
I mean, they owned the 2000s.
Easily.
Owned the 2000s.
Easily.
Absolutely.
Even going into the 2013 with a 2020 experience. Those two was a duo.
Huge album. Yep.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna have to talk about some Timbaland after this, but let's play Somewhere in America by Jay-Z.
See what you made me do? Shout out to old Jews and old rules. New blacks with new stacks. I already been the king. Retroact, I'm just bringing it back like Jordan packs. New money, they looking down on me. Blue bloods, they tryna clown on me. You can turn up your nose, high society. Never gonna turn down the homie. Knock, knock, I'm at your neighbor house. Straight cash, I bought your neighbor out. You should come to the housewarming. Come and see what your new neighbor about. Yellow Lambo in the driveway. 135, I'm on the highway. Frank Sinatra on my sono. Loud as I did it my way. Me and Soul before the album drop. White Lexus before I had a deal. Ask Bun B about me. This ain't no snapback again, but then trail. By the way, get mad. You ain't gotta count it, again, I can add 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 20 million. Oh, I'm so good at math. Might crash your internet. And I ain't even into that. When I was talking Instagram, last thing you wanted was your picture snap. Fat still lurking. They see I'm still putting work in. Cause somewhere in America, Miley Cyrus is still twerking. Yeah. Twerk, Molly, twerk. Twerk, Molly, twerk.
Yeah, Miley, twerk. Remember that, guys? Remember when Miley was twerking? That's when Hannah Montana became Miley Cyrus.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, I lied, guys. That was not Timbaland. That was Hit Boy.
How could you?
I know. Don't listen to me. I'm clearly not a professional. How many times do I have to tell you guys I'm not a professional? But I'm trying to be, I guess.
Fake it till you make it.
That's pretty much what we got going on here on DevFM. Oh, man. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's right. You were talking about, what is that, Detroit, and then how everyone came up during that area?
Well, him mentioning Detroit just, gave me flashbacks of my beautiful home state. That is the Mitten. The Mitten. And I was speculating on the correlation of the hip hop sampling scene coming up at that time, and the emergence of techno, which originated in Detroit, obviously adopted, through Europe with Kraftwerk, all that. And I was just wondering, hand in hand, how polar opposite those two genres are, just how much, connection there was with those drum patterns, those snares, kicks you hear, and, what was happening in Detroit at the time.
No, did you see me? I'm like trying to get the microphone and check it and make sure I can stand up and look at you.
Yeah, you had to see me.
I want to see. I got to see that mug.
Reminisce about beautiful Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
But no, I was just wondering, if a guy like Jay Dilla had any, influence or connection to that scene.
Yeah.
In Detroit.
Even if not directly, maybe indirectly too.
Indirectly, yeah. Just the scene in general.
I wonder if he and Eminem ever meet up, or because obviously Eminem from Detroit. And
I would imagine, the paths had to have crossed.
Let's go, Jack. Pull that up. Any connection between Jay Dilla and Eminem? There had to be something there. Had to be something. I don't know.
Because I knew Dr. Dre knew of Jay Dilla, and they had a couple hangs, but I don't know if they. I don't know if he produced anything for Eminem. That's interesting.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Yeah,
I feel like they would cook up something pretty good. But I mean, Dre's connected with like everyone. I feel like at least in the hip hop world.
Oh yeah,
that guy's just one connected individual. We keep talking about Q-Tip though here, and if you guys don't know who Q-Tip is, he is. Was Tribe
called?
Was
Quest.
It 4 people or was it 3?
There's 4.
4, yeah.
There's 4. What's the name of him? There's Q-Tip.
Oh, come on now. Don't do
Yeah.
this to me.
Fife Dog.
I was gonna say 5.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Yeah. I don't know the and the other 2.
Yeah,
that's what they're known as.
They're escaping me right now. I shouldn't be.
I almost said Ad Rock, and that is wrong.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of
Boy
Pete
group.
Rock though. Pete Rock was
oh
big.
man, we
He
should
was
have
just
some
like
Pete
Jay
Rock on
Dilla.
here.
Yeah, man, mad producer.
You know what? Maybe I'll play the Joy. That's a good Pete Rock.
Yeah.
Pete Rock, let the needle drop.
Oh,
what do we?
man.
Oh, looks like Jack's got an answer for
Our
us.
fact checker.
Our fact checker.
So let's see. If I had to think of Tribe Called Quest members off the top of my head, we had Q-Tip, obviously, Fife Dog,
Yeah.
obviously, Jerobi White.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Ali Shaheed Muhammad.
Say that one more time.
Ali Shaheed Muhammad.
Crushed it.
Muhammad's most common name in the world.
Why don't you read a book? Why is it between that and McLovin? Oh man, well Q-Tip actually hopped on a song here with Hiatus Coyote, huge band right now.
So great,
yeah, they're really good. Everyone out here in Bozeman's a huge fan of them. Like everyone talks about Hiatus Coyote. Huge influence.
Saw a girl wearing a Hiatus Coyote shirt at the gym today.
Did you really?
Wow.
Yep.
Did you talk to her and said, "Hey, I like that band a lot.
Hey, I know that band.
Want to go out?" Dude, it's primo conversation starter. Well, we're going to go ahead and get into a song called Nakamura featuring Q-Tip, Hiatus Coyote off their album Talk. Oh, shoot. I don't even have it. I'm the worst, man. Worst host of all time. Talk Tomahawk 2013. Q-Tip spits a little bit here. It's going to be, this is more of a jazzy tune, I would say. Hiatus Coyote has that jazzy influence. All live band. And then he's going to come in with a sweet little verse here. You guys are tuned in to KGVM Bozeman 95.9 FM. 95.9 KGVM.org DevFM.
With your dyslexic host.
Dyslexic. That's a nice. I think that's like putting it in a nice way.
Nicest thing I've ever said.
Yeah. What a compliment. Yeah, I'm in the studio with me. I got Chris Naro, the drumming realtor himself.
Hey.
What a great guy. Thanks for being here, Chris. And we got, of course, our permanent co-host, sidekick, Jorgen Johnson. And then, of course, our fact checker, Jack Stoney. Thanks for being here, Jack.
Stoney.
Hey, Stoney. What's up, buddy? How you doing over there? Pretty good? You feel comfy? Feel like you're part of the gang? Good. Well, you're not. But anyway. Nah, of course you are, Jack. You know that. All right, let's get into Nakamura by Hiatus Coyote and Q-Tip. You guys are tuned into DevFM.
devices, cause they know we got the science. But the bottom line is they don't want the brown alliance. They rather get our secrets and they don't believe mistreat us. Take our color and our culture from the foul way they breed us. They are such a fucking leaders with no intention to free us. And if you believe in love, then imagine what the key is. The sentiment for me is simply love me.
Love you, I do. Love you, I love you. I love you, I do. Oh, it's sad how hard to find, sweet you and I. Honey, don't you know it's sad how hard to find, sweet you and I. Honey, don't you know we two will pause love in through this light. Honey, don't you know we two will pause always love you, yeah, 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 yeah. Love you, yeah, 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 yeah. Love you, I do. Love you, yeah, 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 yeah. Love you, yeah, 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 yeah. Love you, I do. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was Q-Tip on that one with Hiatus Coyote. Man, you were saying about, Chris, you were talking about Hiatus Coyote in between that right there. And you were saying how have you said the drummer gets a little bit of flack in that band? Because I can't imagine why. That was a swallowed track.
Yeah, man. You know, I've just heard a lot of things on, seen things on social media, whether it be just comments or otherwise, or, it's people talking, whatever. But he gets some flack for being, imperfect. And, going back to the conversation we were having earlier, it totally, I think, plays into the music they're playing. I mean, just that lushness and the way the music breathes, I think he just totally nails it. But yeah, just because a drummer isn't technically proficient as far as, death metal style 30-second notes and they're all perfect, it has its place in music. But I think in that regard, in that style, it just calls for that more loose feel, and it almost, that imperfect feel, I think, goes back to, people trying to get samples off tapes and wearing the thing out, and that tape is so worn out. And it's interesting now that we got all these tape delays and effects and plugins on these new digital audio workstations, where people produce music now. It's actually one of the most used plugins now. It's really, really popular to make that kind of imperfection throughout the whole mix and make it seem almost like it's a worn out tape. It's a really cool sound.
Wow, yeah. It is a really cool sound, isn't it? And especially, well, and this is coming, would you consider yourself a pretty technical drummer? Or would you say that you get to experiment a little bit more? Because I know you play with the symphony around here. Is that right?
Yeah. I play here in the symphony, at Bozeman Symphony, and I go over to Helena every once in a while and play with them. And, it just depends on the gig, I would say. But I like to think when I'm behind a drum kit, I'm playing less of a rhythmic role and more of a colors role. So I think of it more like painting, to be honest. Like, wow. If you can make a brush stroke on a cymbal instead of just merely hitting a cymbal, I think you can pull music out of drums that a lot of people wouldn't even know was there. And I heard a lot of cool things. Going to college, I went to Missoula, U of M for percussion performance, and one of the coolest things I heard from one of our jazz professors there was, can you make your drum set sound like Sonny Stitt? Can you make your drums sound like a tenor sax? And I looked at him like, you got to be crazy, man. Like, how do I make a drum set sound like a wind instrument? But when you think about playing melodically, I would say that's more my strong point, is hearing a melody and playing off the other musicians, whether that be technical or not. I don't know.
So you try to think of yourself more like a chameleon. You fit into what it calls for in that moment, rather than sticking to a predetermined, like, oh, I need to be this on this track or on this whatever you're playing. You just sort of go with it. And would you say that's a skill that you've attributed to yourself as a drummer, being able to be that chameleon in that situation? Or is this more of something that, that anyone can really learn to do?
Yeah, no, I think anyone can learn how to be adaptable as a musician. I think the biggest thing is gig to gig, opportunity to opportunity, it's going to be different. And it's always going to call for something. If you're playing with a vocalist and let's say you're playing jazz standards and they're singing all these standards, the worst thing you can do as a drummer is basically get in the way of the vocals. Your job, it doesn't matter who you are on the bandstand, but especially as a drummer, you're there to support the vocalist in that scenario, right? So let's change it up and say now we're in a Cuban group and we're playing with 3 other conga players. Well, now you get to play as loud as the other players. It's more of a blend. And then let's say you're in the studio, the songwriter has had, basically the most say over what's going to be played and how it's going to be played, and they have a certain ear for what they want, and you just have to adapt and be able to adhere to that. So
I love that, man.
Yeah, so would you say then from group to group you play with, it's more externally inspired and more internally motivated? You just kind of have to blend into who you're surrounded with, who sparks creative interest for yourself.
Absolutely. There's always that interpersonal connection too, and just listening to, you got 2 ears, and I think they should always be open when you're playing with other people. It's kind of like right now we're having a conversation and we're talking back and forth, and if there's someone having a solo, you don't start doing crazy drum fills and blast beats and double bass. You gotta just have your ears open, be adaptable to the situation. But I think that drummers just need to focus on the sound that the gig requires. Like if it's an R&B gig, be that drummer that's in the pocket and just sets up the groove, because your job is to make people dance, right? And if it's a jazz gig, you're supposed to be painting with the other instruments and not being less of a freight train and more of a contributor to the music as well as the other players. But
it's kind of like an unsung hero.
Hey man, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But
keeping the tempo and everything.
It's
driving, essential role. Essential role.
That's right. That's right. You're driving the bus, and I've always thought of music from the ground up, especially hip hop. I know a lot of producers, they make the beat first, and then comes the bass line, then the keys. Going back to Robert Glasper, and I'm sure we'll hear a tune or two from him. But
absolutely,
with him being a key player, you guys heard on the last tune, the Hiatus Coyote tune, that main instrument, that keys that you hear, is an electric piano. More specifically, they're trying to emulate a Fender Rhodes, which is a great electric piano. It weighs a ton.
Yeah.
But that sound, man, is just so iconic. And Robert Glasper has a funny saying. He says, my piano here, this is my mattress, and this, my Rhodes, my electric piano, these are the sheets. So when you think about that music from the ground up, it's like the piano setting up the chords for the tune, and then that electric piano, similar to cymbals on a drum set, is adding those splashes of color and that different, what we call timbre, where it's a different sound in the different spectrum than the regular piano.
Wow, man, I can keep going off because I want to ask you more questions about the jazz specifically, because that's where I met you. I think the first time was at that jazz night down over there at the Tune-Up.
That's right.
And man, I'm going to ask you a few questions here, but we got to get into some underwriters here, boys. It is 7:45 here on March 31st, 2023. It is a gorgeous evening. Wasn't it a gorgeous little night tonight?
Oh, yeah, the sun finally poked out.
Yeah, man. Everyone and their mom was out tonight. We were talking about that too. Could not get anywhere. We have traffic here in Bozeman. Isn't that wild?
Crazy. I think we're in Southern California.
Yeah, what are we? Southern California. Oh, man. We appreciate you guys being tuned in here with us. If you are just tuning in, you're tuned in to DevFM on KGVM Bozeman 95.9. That was Chris Naro talking. Very talented musician out here in Bozeman. And then, of course, the always sexy, the always beautiful Jorgen Johnson.
Who?
Yeah, go get him, actually. All right, let's get into some underwriters, guys, and then we're going to keep cruising. Do not go anywhere. We have a great show lined up for you all still. We got about an hour and 15 minutes left. I love it. All right, let's get into those underwriters.
KGVM is thankful for the support of Cactus Records and Gifts, located at 2742 West Main, between Rooks and the Montana Science Center across from the mall. They're on the web at cactusrecords.net. Cactus has been Bozeman's independent source for new and used music, jewelry, and weird for decades. The same great music and gifts, that same weirdo store, now on Bozeman's West End.
KGVM is thankful for the support of Alara Jewelry. Alara is dedicated to offering ethically sourced jewelry made from recycled precious metals and local materials. Awarded second coolest jewelry store in North America by In-Store Magazine, Alara is still open 7 days a week, now virtually. Alara's in-house designers and jewelers are ready to assist with outgrown, unworn, mismatched, or broken jewelry via video chat. To schedule your own virtual services, go to alarajewelry.com. Alara Jewelry, locally grown, nationally known.
Yeah, it sounded like we were saying something really funny before.
I probably said it.
That's our comedian here in the studio, Jorgen.
Comedic relief here,
Yeah.
DevFM.
Otherwise, we'd be screwed without you,
The
buddy.
driest show ever.
God knows no one wants to listen to me talk for 2 hours.
I have to do it every day at home.
Let me burn it out with you, and then we come on the show. Oh, man. Thanks to you guys for being here. Thank you for the underwriters. That was Cactus Records and Alara Jewelry. Those are some Bozeman staples right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Those
Where I
guys have
get all
been.
my jewelry.
Is it really?
That's right. Look at me. I'm iced out.
You're iced out, man.
Yoga is looking
Blinging.
good.
Blinging.
That
Got my new bolo.
that Flava Flav chain that you got going, it spins, right?
Oh, yeah. It's hanging up at home, actually.
That's right, above the mantle.
It's a Saturday night piece.
Yeah, I don't blame you. That's a good time to wear it. Oh, man. Well, up next, guys, we got a big what is that?
Big word? What is that?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I just lost all train of thought. That's when you guys are supposed to back me up, guys. Come on. Well, you sort of did. You're doing your job here. The next song is by Aaliyah. She is very welcome here on the station. I play a lot of her. This next one is with Shreech, and that is a gentleman who was a rapper for Naughty by Nature. Shout out to Jack for giving me that information. You're doing your job here, buddy. This song is called A Girl Like You. This came out all the way back in 96. That was off her album One in a Million. I've talked about Aaliyah a little bit before. If you don't know who she is, man, one talented individual. She unfortunately passed away in an airline crash in 2001. I don't know if you guys knew that. Yeah,
I didn't know it was an airline crash.
Yeah, it was in the Bahamas. She was going to a music video, and then
That's a shame.
big shame, man. I think there was a few people that was involved with her music that were on the plane with her, and just the plane went down, and that was that. But at least we got a great catalog from you, Aaliyah. Hope you're enjoying the Infinite Nap. Let's go ahead into A Girl Like You, Aaliyah and Shreech off One in a Million. bops, I would say. Man, we're feeling good up in here. Hope you guys are feeling good too.
Such a collaborative genre.
It is. It really is, yeah.
And with it in that era being so new, I'm sure there's just a lot of intertwining between artists and styles, and so it's interesting to see what's lasted, and the effects that what they did then still have today.
Do you think hip hop's going to be going anywhere anytime soon? Do you think it's just going to keep progressing? Do you think it's stagnated? What do you think?
No, I don't see it going anywhere. Evolving, certainly. I mean, you can already
trap,
see
right?
It's taken, certain spins left, right, center, but I think at its core, snares and kicks will never die.
Because people like to bop their heads, man.
That's right.
Yeah,
the head bopping.
Nothing better. Yeah, that's all this is. Nothing better. You cruising back, turn them hazard lights on.
So long as they're
What's the rest of that lyric?
So long as there's Chris Naros in the world, there will be hip hop.
Dang,
hey, man.
Well said, man.
I'll fight the fight, baby.
Yeah, you're single-handedly holding it down here in Bozeman, so don't mess up. Next, we got up some Robert Glasper. We kept talking about him. The boys wanted to hear him next. I also wanted to hear him next. We're going to play Liftoff / Mic Check by Robert Glasper off of Black Radio. It was the first album, right? His first Black Radio?
Yeah, this is off his first Black Radio. Yep, that's right.
So if you guys don't know what Black Radio is, it's an album, I would say, well, he calls himself the Robert Glasper Experience. Is that right?
Yeah. Experiment.
Yeah.
Experiment.
Thank
Experiment.
you. That's
and that's
right.
his full band, actually. Yeah.
So it's all live, huh?
Yeah, and we can delve into. He's also got a jazz trio thing where all of those tunes really evolve from. So we'll have to go into that a little later.
He's quite the talented keyboardist.
Yeah. If you have time, check out his NPR Tiny Desk.
Oh, that's right.
It's awesome.
Is that a call to action? You're fired. No, you're allowed to say that.
I'm telling you.
That's right. Yeah, not you guys. Don't listen.
I didn't do it.
Yeah. No, I mean it's a good little set though, right?
Yeah,
what does he do?
If you got a half hour to kill, it's pretty much a half hour improv. You're familiar with the Tiny Desk concept.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about it for people who aren't familiar.
So NPR, who I happen to be a supporter of.
Absolutely, man. You rock the T-shirt.
That's right.
You're single-handedly advertising for NPR out here in Bozeman as if they needed it.
Support public radio, especially KGVM.
That's right.
But so they'll sit in, I guess, what did you call it, a reading nook, a library? I don't know. And
where's their studio? I wonder.
That's a great question.
Jack,
come on.
Yeah, Jack. Where's the NPR Tiny Desk studio?
we're gonna go record DevFM.
Oh my god, that's how you know we made it. DevFM Tiny Desk. Actually, that'd be rad, dude. I get Chris on there.
You are literally standing at a tiny desk.
That's true. This is the KGVM Tiny Desk. Oh, we got the levels. Whoops, I got to turn the mic down a little bit. I've not been paying attention to the levels. Sorry, Bob. Let's go ahead and get into the Liftoff / Mic Check by Robert Glasper. You guys are gonna like this little tune. Sit back and relax. You're tuned into KGVM Bozeman's DevFM.
Oh yeah. Hello world. Peace and love. I wish you the best. And now for the next. Coming to your mind. Live and direct from the ethers. Now it's all in your speakers. Down to your sneakers.
Spotlight. This is
now as we prepare for our liftoff, you'll need only two things to direct your course: your ears and your soul. I bring to you the Robert Glasper experimentation for meditation. Back to where we were now. I bring to you Brother Rob, Chris, Derek, KC, RCDC. Rock on, rock on, rock on, rock on. This is it.
What a track.
What a track, man. Robert Glasper Experiment. Oh, it's still going.
Yeah.
That's Robert on there, right?
Robert, tickling the ivories.
Sick.
Very rare a group is oriented around the key player.
That's very true.
And you know, just the fact that he frontmans that whole operation and drives the machine. It's
Oh, that's Erica Badu right there.
There she is.
That was Erica, right? Because next track, I think the next track is Afro Blue.
And that was Mos Def, and they're all checking their mic. I think it's just all.
Oh, that's right, Mos Def on there too. That's a good little album, guys. If you want to learn about hip hop, and especially a good place to start for the casual listener, go listen to Black Radio just all the way through. Save the bass. That's a great place to start for you guys. That's what we're trying to go for here on DevFM, man. I've talked about it before, but we want to introduce you guys to some music you may not be familiar with. Maybe you are. I just know out here I don't hear hip hop really out here at all, unless it's the kids playing some trap. No disrespect.
Nothing wrong with the kids trap.
Nah, nothing wrong at all with the.
Wait, a kid trap?
Yeah,
wait, what?
The kid
stuff.
Yeah, wait, whoa.
It's a family show.
Yeah, easy, pal. Jeez. We're just not going up on YouTube. That was Lift Off My Check, Robert Glasper. You were saying, Chris, you were saying how with almost the lead vocalist, how does he get that certain sound? It sounds pretty unique.
Yeah, so the lead singer, if you will, of that band, Robert Glasper Experiment, I think his name is Casey Benjamin. I could be wrong on that, but he plays a really cool instrument you might have heard of from the 80s called a keytar. And basically, just to go into a brief thing, keytar was made because everyone was soloing on mono synths through the 80s, and they could only use one hand because their other hand was permanently on the pitch bend over on the left side. And so they were like, there's got to be a better way to play all these like crazy solos and licks and be able to pitch bend and do it comfortably, maybe even while singing. And so the keytar was born. So now you could pitch bend on the neck like you would on a guitar. It has a little bit of a fretboard, if you will, where you can actually bend the pitch. But this guy and Casey Benjamin, he uses a vocoder, which is really cool. So his microphone, when he sings into it, it actually goes into its own synthesis, where it goes into a vocoder, which is basically a vocoder turns a vocal or an oral sound into a sample that you can actually manipulate. And the way he does that is with his keytar. So he'll sing into the mic, and whatever sound comes out of his mouth, similar to a talk box like you'd heard a couple of rock musicians, especially guitarists,
Peter Frampton's specialty.
Exactly. It works the same way. So it'll take that oral sound that's coming out of the mouth and doesn't use a tube or anything. You're just singing into a microphone, but then that sound goes right to his keytar, where he'll assign what note musically, what note is going to be coming out of the speakers, and of course effects and all kinds of stuff on top of the synth, which
all
is
in real
super
time.
Cool. All in real time, and I can't imagine the hours he spent perfecting that sound and really getting good at that. But I've seen him live once in Seattle at this venue called the Triple Door, and it was unbelievable. He was absolutely incredible.
Wow.
And just the harmony that it brought to that song.
Yeah.
It's
and
such a layer.
Just to nerd out for you music people out there, if you guys have ever studied, it's pretty much that melody throughout Liftoff is similar to this tune you're hearing in the background, where it hangs out right here for the whole, it comes back down. It's called constant structure, and what you're basically, the beat cut out right there again, that was cool. It's constant structure, so what's happening is the melody note is basically being drilled into our heads. And that's really what I think the essence of neo-soul music is where you're latched onto either a melody or even just a single note in this case, and the chords move around in ways that they fit. All the chords being played are fitting with that note, and makes it sound different ways depending on what chord you want to drop in or out. And
Absolutely.
I think that's just totally the essence of that kind of music.
Well said, man. Well said. That's why neo soul. There's something great about it. I mean, there's every genre of music has something that's redeemable about it, but there's something about neo soul where it bridges those. It almost is a bridging between hip hop, jazz, and then maybe a little bit of R&B sometimes with it as well. And it creates this tune that, like you said, it almost has its own personality with it, where right. it just all comes together. And you have someone who's like, of course, what always comes to mind for me is Erykah Badu. Yeah. And the way that she'll play with her vocals with the rest of, James Poisner, who's on the keys usually. Jay Dilla does a lot of work for her earlier work with Mama's Gun. And the way that they all play off in one another just creates something that is remarkable, and you don't really hear another sound like it in other genres,
Well said.
Yeah,
well said.
Oh, man. Well, we're at the top of the hour, which means I got to tell you guys that you're tuned in to KGVM Bozeman 95.9 FM. You're here with us, DevFM. I got Chris Naro right behind me, who is just best host we could have ever asked for. Appreciate you being here, Chris.
Thanks.
And, of course, our trusty co-host, Jorgen Johnson, with us as well. Appreciate you being here, too, Jorgen.
And Devon Brosnan.
That's me, Devon Brosnan. We're going to keep going along here. We got about 54 minutes left here with DevFM. I'm going to go into what I call the Bozeman beat. Didn't do it the past 2 episodes. I'm going to cut the music real hard right there. It's just where I like to highlight a certain local business. They don't pay me to write this. That I choose them purely just because I go there and I frequent there. Doesn't mean I even like them. And you'll see that in the next case. No, I'm just kidding.
For this Bozeman, we have Jorgen. Man.
Yeah, Jorgen's the next business I'm going to cover here. But I'm going to go ahead and read this little piece. So if you guys don't mind just tuning back, let's go ahead and listen to something here. Choice. It's an interesting concept. I've talked a little about choice here on the show, but there are a few questions that always stick out in my mind when pondering any decision. What choice should I make? Why does my choice matter to me? Why did I make that choice? Do I, whatever that means, make choices? Well, it's hard to say. It also depends on who you ask. But since I'm asking myself, I get to tell myself how I feel about it. Publicly. With all of you listening. And you don't have a choice. Brilliant. So, what about choice? I'll have to refrain from going into determinism versus free will on this one, though I'm sure it'll come up in a future episode. Well, what is increasingly evident in our world are the thousands of variables operating in and around us, each metaphorically bouncing off one another in this colossal, crazy blue and green snow globe we call Earth. Some of these variables are more obvious and visible than others, such as how hungry, sleepy, or energized we are, how our friends, family, and coworkers influence our mood, how cold, hot, snowy, or beautiful the weather is to us. However, all these variables, while more tangible, appear to careen and smash not only into one another, but also into the more hidden and sometimes more influential variables shrouded beneath the surface. These are where our innate motivations lie, and aren't usually as salient on the mind as the others. Think our baseline fear of death, and, with it, our powerful clench onto some sense of legacy. Think how our episodic memory, like that one time your cousin roasted you in front of your family, interacts with our semantic memory to create an experience that guides you years after, like how you roasted them back at your grandma's funeral service. That actually happened. Think how your wife refuses to let you try that one thing that all your poker buddies talk about to their wives letting them do, and how that makes you feel at 2 a.m. on a cold winter night. Oh, make me laugh. Altogether, it seems to me that these variables are what guide us and push us in the direction of our chosen choice. So, then, what variables pushed me to write this piece on the Little Star Diner, located in downtown Bozeman? Was it the wave upon wave of delicious, 5 sense tingling, heart palpitating influence of Was it the wave upon wave of delicious, 5 sense tingling, heart palpitating influence of the dinner courses? Was it the wine pairings that single-handedly make me want to return to drinking regularly again? I haven't. Or was it something more simple, like the ease of its location or its delightful modern ambiance? Maybe, in a holistic sense, it was all of these things coming together, creating a playful, bouncy little cloud to carry me through the front door. We may never know. And I'm fine with that. When I asked some of my fellow patrons on my last visit about why they chose Little Star Diner and why they chose what they did for their dinner courses, especially given the surprising abundance of fresh ingredients in each option, people exhibited a sense of uncertainty. I honestly don't know, one patron mentioned to me. I've just been coming here since they opened and I was hungry, so yeah, here I am. Simple enough, right? Another answered by saying, I just love their dessert, and I figured, why not get me some dinner before? Unfortunately, it's frowned upon just to come in for dessert. Okay, that's pretty funny. But their answers gave me a further understanding of the inner mechanisms involving the truth of choice. We don't know why we choose things, especially in the moment. In retrospect, I can tell you that I ordered the classic pork sausage gnocchi with the red blend because I was hungry, jonesing for some pasta with some accompanying wine, and that I chose to write a piece on them because I genuinely respect their establishment. But is that the full story? It couldn't be solely due to the enjoyment or dietary preference. There are plenty of other restaurants that fit both those descriptions. Perhaps, since it was my first date spot a few times over now, that I felt some kind of connection to its comfy offerings. I don't think so. Because, McDonald's takes the cake on that one for me too. So, what gives? Why does my choice of Little Star Diner originate from? In the end, I guess it doesn't really matter why or how we make decisions. All that matters is that we remain grateful for the selections we are privileged to have, humbled by the choices we made, and accepting of ourselves and the ultimate infinity of possibility that envelops us all. Our choices have already been made for us in the grand scheme of things. It's probably best to just sit back and enjoy the ride. So, remember that next time that you chose to bring that girl you finally asked out at the bar to your favorite first date spot at the Golden Arches for some processed goodness. And feel free to take a seat with me when you do. And now we're going to get back into the music.
It's yours. Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this? It's yours. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine, it's mine.
I sip the Dom P, watching Gandhi till I'm charged and writing in my book of rhymes. All the words past the margin. The whole of mic I'm throbbing. Mechanical movement, understandable smooth issue that murderers move with. The thief's theme. Play me at night, they won't act right. The fiend of hip hop has got me stuck like a air pipe. The mind activation, react like I'm facing time like Pappy Mason. With pins I'm embracing, wipe the sweat off my dome, spit the phlegm on the streets. Suede Timbs on my feet makes my cipher complete. Weather cruising in a 6 cab, I'm on Montero Jeep, I can't call it. The beats make me falling asleep, I keep falling, but never falling 6 feet deep. I'm out for presidents to represent me.
Say what?
I'm out for presidents to represent me.
Say what?
I'm out for dead presidents to represent me.
Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this? It's yours. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine.
To my man Ill Will, God bless your life. To my peoples throughout Queens, God bless your life. I trick Reeboks and crazies is aiming guns and all my baby pictures. Beef with housing police, release scriptures that's maybe Hitler's. Yet I'm the mal money getting style, rolling foul. The versatile honey sticking wild, golden child dwelling in the rotten apple. You get tackled, caught by the devil's lasso. This is a hassle. There's no days for broke days when sellers pays while all the old folks pray to Jesus, soaking their sins in trays. A holy water, odds against nods and slaughter. Finger the word best describing my life. To name my daughter my strength. My son the star will be my resurrection. Born in correction, all the wrong shit I did, he'll lead in right direction. How you living large or broke or charge cards are mediocre. You flipping over, playing spit spades and strip poker.
It's yours. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this? It's
Yo, the world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this?
I'm the young city bandit, hold myself down single-handed. For murder raps, I kick my thoughts alone, get remanded. Born alone, die alone, no crew to keep my crown a throne. I'm deep, I sound alone, cave inside 1,000 miles from home. I need a new again for this black cloud to follow. Cause while it's over me, it's too dark to see tomorrow. Trying to maintain, I flip, fill the bill to the tip. Picturing my peeps, now the income make my heartbeat skip. And I'm amped up, they like to champ up. Even my brains in handcuffs, headed for Indiana. It's been women like the Phantom, the crew is lamping, Big Willie style. Check the chip to smell. Plus I wow, stash through the flock clothes, burning dollars, delight my stole, walk the blocks with a bop. Checking dames plus the games people play, bust the problems of the world today.
It's yours. It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this? It's mine, it's mine, it's mine. Whose world is this?
The world is yours. The world is yours.
It's mine, it's mine, whose world is this?
Yeah, alright. To everybody in Queens, the foundation. The world is yours. To everybody uptown, yo, the world is yours. The world is yours. To everybody in Brooklyn, y'all know the world is yours. The world is yours. Everybody in Mount Vernon, the world is yours. Long Island, yo, the world is yours. Staten Island, yeah, the world is yours. South Bronx, the world is yours.
Alright.
So I'm wondering, Devin.
What's up, buddy?
You and your cousin, have you made up? Are you guys good?
My cousin?
Since Grandma's funeral?
Honestly, I told you not to talk about it on the air, but I guess if you're insisting.
I heard that Bozeman beat, and I just wanted to make sure your family relations were on course.
I'm not going to lie to you. I wish they could be better.
Pretty good insult.
It was a good one, I'm not going to lie.
Tell me off air.
Yeah, I'll have to tell you what it was out there. No, but actually, when it's funny, probably I think most, if not all, of my cousins are listening, and they're all like my favorite people in the universe. So
except that one,
and you know who you are.
Know who you are.
Let them decide.
Yeah, exactly. They're all looking like, no. What the hell is he talking about? Oh man, that was "The World Is Yours" by Nas off Illmatic. You had some conversation, Chris, that you were starting with. Why did you choose that song? Actually, is a good way to start that one.
Sure, yeah. So that one was produced by Pete Rock. All right, and
that was a Pete Rock joint.
That's a Pete Rock joint, man.
All
yep.
right.
And
Pete Rock, man. Let the needle drop.
He, like Jay Dilla, had such respect for jazz music, and they actually use a lot of similar samples from similar people. That one was another Ahmad Jamal. That tune from Ahmad Jamal's called "I Love Music," and the piano from that is literally like 2 or 3 seconds out of the whole 8-minute piece. But he just took that dun dun bum dun 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 ba dun dun, and that's all he used. And so when you kind of lift a beat out, you're basically using that sample as what we call new music. So now you're arranging a tune around that melody. So Pete Rock really did a great job. And if you can hear on that last tune, it actually goes quite, and similar to this Jay Dilla tune in the background, you can kind of tell it's closer to being a perfect beat that grooves, and it isn't, doesn't have too much human error in it, where a lot of earlier, Pete Rock and, when he was playing with Jay Dilla and helping him with the Far Side and other groups, you kind of hear some more quantized beats, but they still have that gravity and that groove to the beat. But the great thing about "The World Is Yours" is Pete Rock took that sample and really, really made a great chorus out of it. Where in "I Love Music," where the original is from, it's pretty much a passing chord change where the whole if you listen to the original, it's a piano pretty much soloed throughout, and it just plays around those different chord changes, and it's some of the most lush music you'd ever hear. But really, really good, work by Pete Rock on that one. I really have always loved that tune. I don't know if any of you guys ever played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3.
Oh, classic.
But that one was on there, and I think
that's right.
Just totally put it back into my head, as what I was, like a 12 or 13-year-old kid at the time, probably playing that game, but
just bumping some Pete Rock.
Fell back in love with it, man. That's such a great tune.
Yeah, I've talked about it a few times on here. The influence of video game soundtracks, I think, on our culture, or at least on our modern culture, I think has had a big influence, because like you said, Tony Hawk introduced you. Would you say that introduced you to that world, or maybe even Pete Rock's world?
Yeah, it definitely broadened my horizons. I knew of, Jay Dilla's work, but I never knew who Jay Dilla was. Mm-hmm. In addition to that, Far Side, and they had so many great ones on there. They had, early Galactic stuff, and even like rock music. I know it's not Rock Night, but it's the same thing with like all this punk music. We were even playing some ska earlier, and same thing, man. You can actually trace that back to reggae. All ska is reggae music sped up. It's really all it is. It's a 2-drop sped up, and early reggae music that actually came from these 60s radio stations playing these ballads, and the people in Kingston would hear it very faintly over their AM or whatever it was, but they heard just enough to get that kind of musical information, and then made their own genre out of it, which turned out to be reggae. And the same thing happened with hip hop. Like I said earlier, the mother of hip hop is jazz, and the mother of jazz actually comes from a style called bembe, which is an African rhythm, and everybody's heard it. It's literally like this. Here's the quarter note, bop 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 bop. That literally turned into swing, and that turned into hip hop, and it can be all traced back to that groove, man.
Incredible.
So I'm wondering, Chris, so you were 12 when you stumbled upon Jay Dilla, and clearly you're an encyclopedia of Jay Dilla knowledge. But you had told me previously that you started behind the kit at 8.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, originally, what was your drawing factor or your inspiration, I guess, be it a person, be it a sound, a certain intrigue? What brought you to the drums?
Yeah. Great question. Thank you. I think I took a shine to it. The first time I really thought I wanted to be a drummer is I lived in, I'm actually originally from Medfield, Massachusetts, and there was just a kind of a parade through town, and they had the local marching band from the high school. And I just remember very vividly this image in my head of one of the drummers from the drumline passing me, and it was so loud, and the attack of everything, it was so powerful to me. I think I had to have been maybe 4 or 5, but I still remember it, just looking up at these drummers and just the power coming out of them. And I just knew that I wanted to do that. So the next day I got a big cookie tin, from David's Cookies on the, holidays, you get that. And I got one of my dad's guitar straps and actually, taped it to the thing. And then I used these 2 darts from an old bow and arrow set with the suction cups, from back in the day. And I was marching around the yard, man. And, after that, seeing that, I grew up a little bit. I was about 8 years old. My mom, it was my birthday, actually. She gave me a little piece of paper and it said, "Congratulations, you're going to have some drum lessons starting on, this date."
No way.
And I was stoked. And so it started with a good teacher, though. And he had me, learning how to read music and the like. But the best thing he did for me, I think, is he had me playing along to stuff. He would burn me a CD. And I remember starting out, it was just the 2 of us, let's stay together. So, really starting on like Motown and soul, and then also rock music, so I could really get the chops to play a groove, and also be a good rock drummer. Pearl Jam, we're playing Go and Even Flow, all the stuff that really hits. Like a couple years before I started taking lessons, it was like pretty relevant to it was still on the radio and that kind of stuff. So learning how to play that stuff and do rock grooves, Motown, and just learning all the different styles was just, I think, pivotal in my education.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a fantastic teacher just opening you up to that versatile range, and I'm sure that's applied to this day with all the different groups you've played with. I know you said you're with the orchestra. You play some gospel here and there.
Yep.
So I'm sure that was just huge early on, just to get a little taste of everything and find your own groove.
That's right, and the process is still the same. Like for most of my groups, we have events or things that we have to learn new tunes for, and we're always expanding our book, our set list, I should say, and it's really always the same. I go back, and nowadays we don't have to go to the library and look up a vinyl or a CD, or you just go right to YouTube or Spotify, and boom, 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 I make my own playlist of like all the tunes I got to learn, and I just do my listening and get behind the kit and try to replicate those sounds the best I can. And yeah, if I hadn't had that early training,
sure,
those skills would have had to come a little harder, or maybe it took a little longer. For
yeah,
sure.
that's
I love it.
Yeah, for someone, what would you say for someone who, you know, let's say myself, right? Like if I wanted to get into drumming, and I'm someone who's never been really musically inclined, I didn't have that early maybe teacher or professor who would sit there and teach me these certain tools I would use later on. How essential do you think that is in the process for someone reaching the level that you're at as a drummer? Do you think it's still possible for someone to reach that level without that initial training? Or do you think it's like you got to start early, and if you don't, you can, is there a ceiling there?
You need David's cookies.
What's that?
You need David's cookies.
You might need to march around the yard a little bit first, but no, that's a great question. It's very valid too, because there's a lot of people that, you know, have found a new hobby, or they want to try music out, and they see people streaming or even doing the shorts on YouTube, just playing some drums or an instrument they just picked up. And I think even after the whole pandemic that we went through, there was more bedroom musicians than ever, because it was just a resurgence of that kind of want to learn something. And if it is music, you know, putting it out there too is great. But yeah, you know, I'm not a proponent of you got to start early, or you have to be a certain age to learn. I think that people can pick things up at any age, any stage, and I think a lot of that comes from, like you were saying, instruction. It depends on the person. Some people can take lessons over Zoom and or learn guitar over, you know, certain apps or things like that nowadays. But there has to be something said about in-person instruction and the reinforcement of those physical, you know, kind of motor skills that you have to learn. Seeing it in person and having that, you know, reinforcement, I think, is really important. So finding a good teacher would be definitely a part of that,
but not essential. And I love that you pointed out that there's different avenues for that instruction as well. Of course, in person is always going to have that special flavor to it, but even doing Zoom, you know, these different, we live in a world right now, like we were talking about earlier, when it comes to like how you access music. You have YouTube, you have streaming services, and now you have Zoom, you have this like video software where you can be with someone across the world, and they can still be able to teach you wherever you are. And so basically there's no excuse, you know, that's what it sounds like.
Right.
No matter what age you start at, you still, I think there's a great book and the title always resonates with me, and it's called, It's Not How Good You Are, It's How Good You Want to Be.
That's great.
And so it sounds like you're living that. You're living that to a T, you know.
Oh, well, thank you. You know, it's a learning experience. You know, being a musician, you're always adapting. Going back to our conversation earlier, it's about being versatile. And as a drummer, if you're going to play in different groups and have really a plethora of different styles, you're going to go ahead and attack that. You know, you got to do your homework. You do the listening and really work out what it means to play in those different styles, and you know, really play your role as the beat keeper as well as the you know, painter, like I was saying earlier. You know, adding those colors without being distracted.
The chameleon.
Exactly.
Himself.
Exactly.
Right.
Not a poison dart frog. Those are bad. They're colorful, but too colorful.
Yeah, don't take a bite out of that one, kids. Man, we're having some good conversations here. If you're still tuned in with us, we appreciate you being here. You're on KGVM Bozeman 95.9. That is Chris Naro, who was just talking, our special guest tonight, co-hosting with us, and then, of course, the permanent Jorgen. Jorgen Johnson. Who's asking really good questions. Respect to your DJ skills, man.
Oh, thank you.
Like we were joking about you taking over, but now I feel like you should.
Yeah, I mean, you're on
like,
my
what am I
master
here for?
plan. You taught me.
I'm your introduction.
Well, yeah,
into
you
it.
got to work all those buttons over there. I don't know what's going on.
I'll just be the engineer, and we'll still have the show named after me. Man, you guys are tuned into DevFM with me, Devon Brosnan. We're having a great evening here. Hope you guys are too. We only got half an hour left. Time flies by when we're down here in the studio. We're going to get into some underwriters here. We're going to get into some more music and some more amazing conversation with some amazing people here in the studio. Appreciate you guys being here. Let's get into those underwriters. KGVM would like to thank Dr. Chad Swanson, the optometrist in the Bozeman Costco, for their continued support here at the station. For quick, easy, and affordable eye evaluations, you can contact them today.
We at KGVM are happy to have the support of Montana Theater Works. The nonprofit, which owns and operates the historic Ellen Theater in downtown Bozeman, is dedicated to presenting performing arts to the Gallatin Valley. With the goal to entertain, educate, and inspire, Montana Theater Works celebrates the human experience and provides cultural and social enrichment for all. Information at theellentheater.com.
I think we caught a little bit of my one.
And we're back.
Where are we back to, Jorgen?
Back to the basics.
Not what I was expecting, but I'll take it.
Back to the hip hop, hopefully.
To the hip, to the hop, to the
hippie,
hip hop.
the hippie
You
hoppy.
don't stop. You keep on moving and grooving. Oh man, thank you guys for being here with us, DevFM. We're gonna play a song that is a classic. Actually, Jorgie was playing this today when we were hanging out, and I was like, man, that's going on the playlist.
Don't tell people we were hanging out, please.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, it was more so like I had my phone in there recording, so I heard all your conversation, and then I listened to it later and then pretend like I was there.
The magic of technology.
Yeah. Where would we be without it?
Friendless.
I mean, I'm friendless with or without it, I think. Just kidding. You guys are my friends, right? Was that asking for too much? We're going to listen to Money Trees by Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar. Irishman himself.
Money Trees.
Money Trees by Kendrick Lamar and J-Rock. This is a long track, 6 minutes long. I guess we get to take some time here in the studio and hang out a little bit, and hope you guys get to just lean back in that chair. If you're driving a truck down the highway, hope you're having a good drive. Hope it's not too dangerous out there for you. Keep your eyes on the road. But tune back and listen to some music. This is for you, truck driver. This one is Money Trees, Kendrick Lamar.
Me and my niggas tryna get it, yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. Hit that house, like, tell me, is you with it, yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. Home invasion was persuasive. From 9 to 5, I know it's vacant, yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. Dreams of living life like rappers do. Back when condom rappers wasn't cool. They wasn't. I fucked Shireen and went to tell my bros. Then Usher Raymond let it burn came on. Hot sauce all that night, I rhyming, yeah, bitch. Park the car, then we start rhyming, yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. The only thing we had to free our mind. Then freeze that verse when we see dollar signs. You looking like an easy come up, yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. A silver spoon, I know you come from, yeah, bitch. Yeah, bitch. And that's a lifestyle that we never knew. Go at a rapping for the revenue. Go Holly Berry or hallelujah. Pick your poison, tell me what you doing. Everybody go respect the shooter, but the one in front of the lives forever.
The one in front of the forever.
And I've been hustling all day, this away, that away, through canals and alleyways, just to say, money trees is the perfect place for shade, and that's just how I feel. Nah, $8 might just fucking main, that's just how I feel. Nah, $8 might say fuck the niggas that you game with, that's just how I feel. Nah, $8 might just make that lane switch, that's just how I feel. Nah, $8 might turn to $1 million, then we all rich, that's just how I feel. Dreams of living life like rappers do. Bump that new E40 after school. You know, big ballin' with my homies. Earl Stevens had us thinking rational. Back to reality, we pour, yeah, bitch. Another casualty at war, yeah, bitch. Two whips in my Uncle Tony head. He said one day I'll be on tour, yeah, bitch. That Louis burgers never be the same. A Louis Belder never ease that pain. But I'ma purchase when that day is jerking. Pull off at churches with Pirelli skirting. Gang signs out the window, yeah, bitch. Hoping all of them offend you, yeah, bitch. They say your hood is a pot of gold, and we go crash it when nobody's home. Holly Berry or hallelujah. Pick your poison, tell me what you do. Everybody go respect the shooter, but the one in front of it lives forever.
The one in front of the forever.
And I've been hustling all day, this away, that away, through canals and alleyways, just to say, money trees is the perfect place for shade, and that's just how I feel. Nah, $8 might just fucking main, that's just how I feel. Nah, $8 might say fuck them niggas that you game with, that's just how I feel. Nah, $8 might just make that lane switch, that's just how I feel. Nah, $8 might turn to $1 million, then we all rich, that's just how I feel.
Be the last one out to get this dough. No way, love one of you bucket headed. No way, hit the streets and we break the code. No way, hit the brakes when they on patrol. No way, be the last one out to get this dough. No way, love one of you bucket headed. No way, hit the streets and we break the code. No way, hit the brakes when they on patrol. No way.
Imagine rock up in them projects where them niggas pick your pockets. Santa Claus don't miss them stockings. Liquor spilling, just popping, baking soda, y'all whipping. Ain't no turkey on Thanksgiving. My homeboy I just hope the Lord forgive him. Pots with residue. Every day I'm hustling. What else is a thug to do when you eat cheese from the government? Gotta put 5 for my daughter and them. Get the fuck up out my way. Got that drum and I got them bands just like a parade. Drop that work up in the bushes. Hope them boys don't see my stash. If they do, tell the truth. This the last time you might see my from the gardens where the grass ain't cut. Them serpents lurking blood. Just selling drugs, but it's all good. Broken promises, still your watch and tell you what time it is. Take your J's and tell you to kick it where a falaka is. In the streets with a heater under my dungarees. Dreams of me getting shaded under a money tree.
Holly Berry or hallelujah. Pick your poison, tell me what you do. Everybody go respect the shooter, but the one in front of it lives forever.
The one in front of the forever.
And I've been hustling all day, this away, that away, through canals and alleyways, just to say, money trees is the perfect place for shade, and that's just how I feel.
Kendra, just bring my car back, man. I called in for another appointment. I figured you weren't going to be.
Should we just let this one right out? What's wrong with that? What did you just say? The mics are live, dude. I want my body, bringing that big old. Can't say that part. We're gonna stop that song right in its tracks.
What a song, though.
Classic, man. We were talking about it earlier, Jorgie. That was a high school classic for us.
It was.
Yeah,
man.
That was every house party you go to.
Defines a generation.
It's great. That album, dude, Good Kid, Mad City. That definitely is one of the most influential, one of the most popular hip hop albums in the past.
It kind of changed the game a bit.
Did well. Kendrick is
just lyrically, you know. I feel
storytelling.
Like rap, was kind of like diverging into the, what you call it, the mumble rap, the whatever. It was
back then.
Yeah, it wasn't so often. You got a profound,
like pop rap,
lyrically oriented, album.
It wasn't. He definitely, I would say, popularized it as well, because you had rappers like Immortal Technique. And,
sure.
He was dropping very long technical
not to
storytelling.
Say that lyrically, like Killer Mike.
Great example. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, probably one of the best lyricists to do it, but just on a mainstream level.
Exactly.
And
making it more accessible.
To receive the appreciation that he did for that album.
Did it win a Grammy? Did it win Best Rap?
I don't know, because was that the same year as Forest Hills?
No, it was that was when I think Good Kid and Mad City lost out to Macklemore. I think that's what that was like the whole controversy.
What?
Yeah, next we're gonna play Thrift Shop.
Thrift Shop.
A deep cut.
Yeah,
I think that's when Macklemore he posted a text to Kendrick Lamar apologizing that he won. Yeah, that the heist won. He's like compared to Mad City. I mean, he's not wrong, but I'm scared. Hey, heist was good for what it was. Okay. There were some nights where I was listening to the Heist. Shout out to you, Macklemore, but you didn't make it to the playlist, buddy. What does that tell you? Oh, man. We're going to keep grooving right along here. You're tuned in to KGVM Bozeman 95.9. It is 8:40 here on the 31st of March. It is becoming springtime soon, hopefully.
April Fool's Day tomorrow.
Tomorrow, that's right, yeah. You got to come up. You got any good April Fool's ones for us?
I'm telling you.
That's true. You got to save it for tomorrow, right?
That's right.
What about you, Chris? You got anything loaded up?
I don't think I'm that evil this year. No.
Do you have any good memories when it comes to April Fool's? Any good stories that you roasted someone or got them pretty good?
Yeah, I did one once where I used to borrow my buddy's Geo Metro, and it was already smashed to pieces. But I found and this was before Google image search. Yeah. So I literally found a picture of a crashed up one in the same color and sent it to him hey man, I just ran into this the side of this curb and I messed it all up. And
the curb's fine though.
Yeah, the curb was fine, not a scratch.
It's still on there, don't worry, buddy.
And I think that was the most evil one I've ever done. But
that's good.
Yeah, he got a laugh out of that one.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
After a few words.
Yeah, a few choice words for you. Oh man, it's sad. There's so many. I'm looking at the playlist right now, and we wanted to play the Runnin' by the Far Side, which is another classic. I know Chris had a good story for that one as well, but unfortunately, I just can't find a clean version for it, and I was complaining about it earlier, especially in the past episode. But man, I wish either they'd have more clean versions, or we could just get over this whole cursing is bad thing, whichever comes first. But no, you guys have a lot of words for that one. It sounds like
you keep that devil music off of the playlist. Those swear words,
darn swear devil music. That DevFM, man, just promoting Satan on here all
That's
the time.
Dev stands for.
I'm trying to think. Anything you guys want to hear next? Or actually, Chris, I know you had some good songs. Do you want to hear that De La Soul song?
De La Soul, or maybe a little Kanye at some point.
Oh, that's right.
Before we exit.
Yeah, but we'll get
his name's come up a lot. And we
that's true.
Haven't given him much.
Let's get De La Soul going. No, I couldn't find the clean version for it. That's right. See, another one. No clean version for the De La Soul. Stakes is high. Maybe go listen to that in your free time, guys.
Yeah, man.
Oh, well. We're going to keep moving right along here. I'm going to go to listen to School Spirit by Kanye West. This is off his first album, College Dropout. What's beautiful about this one is that the album version is the clean version, so I didn't have to worry about it. I can just play it. Yeah, good old Kanye. Yeah, you were saying earlier, Chris, you're his biggest fan in the world, right? Especially what he's been saying recently.
I don't know about that one. But, man, I love his music, man. His music's rocks.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about Kanye.
No comment on that.
Yeah, I plead the field. We're going to listen to School Spirit by Kanye West, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Kanye and his influence, because if we're talking about influential hip-hop artists, Kanye's up there.
He's got to be in the conversation.
He's got to be in the conversation. Let's go ahead and play that song, and you'll see why he's going to be in the conversation. School Spirit by Kanye West. You're tuned into DevFM.
School Spirit for them. Alpha step, Omega step, Kappa step, Sigma step, gangsters walk, pimps gon' talk. Oh, hecky no, that boy is raw. AKA step, Delta step, SGO step, Zeta step, gangsters walk, pimps gon' talk. Oh, hecky no, that boy is raw. I'ma get on this TV, mama. I'ma put this down. I'ma make sure these light-skinned niggas never come back in style. Told them I finished school and I started my own business. They say, oh, you graduated. No, I decided I was finished chasing y'all dreams and what you got planned. Now I spit it so hot, you got tan. Back to school and I hate it there. Everything I want, I gotta wait a year. This nigga graduated at the top of our class. I went to cheesecake, he was off for them and waited there. Alpha step, Omega step, Kappa step, Sigma step, gangsters walk, pimps gon' talk. Ooh, hecky no, that boy is raw. AKA step, Delta step, SGO step, Zeta step, gangsters walk, pimps gon' talk. Ooh, hecky no. I got a Jones like Nora for your Sora. Bring more them girls I seen in the Aurora. Tammy, Becky, and Laura, Aura, Shirley. I'm tryna hit it early, like I'm in a hurry. See, that's that Doobie Kane, the young Pootie Tang, tippy towel. Rockefeller chain, yeah, that's my rapper style. Rosary piece, yeah, that's my Catholic style. Red and white ones, yeah, that's my Kappa style. And I ain't even pledged. Crack my head on the steering wheel, and I ain't even dead. If I can go through all that and still be breathing, it's been over, I'm here for a reason. Alpha step, Omega step, Kappa step, Sigma step, gangsters walk, pimps gon' talk. Oh, hecky no, that boy is raw. AKA step, Delta step, SGO step, Zeta step, gangsters walk, pimps gon' talk. Oh, hecky no, that boy is raw. I feel a woo coming on, cuz. I feel a woo coming on, cuz. There was. I feel some woos coming on, cuz. A couple woos coming on, cuz. There they was. I feel a woo coming on, cuz. I feel a woo coming on, cuz. There was. A couple woos coming on, cuz. A couple woos coming on, cuz. There they was.
Oh man, what a beat. That was just a good little kick right there.
I love the Paradox, School Spirit on an album called High School or College Dropout.
Yeah, man. Are you listening to the lyrics? He's obviously a huge proponent for the schooling system.
No, there's some tall, curly-headed guy in here talking there. You couldn't hear anything.
Who is that, by the way? Who are you referring to?
I don't know. We forgot to lock the door.
Who let him in here? Man, Kanye West. Do you think, Chris, with any of your musical journey, like has Kanye, you were telling me that Kanye is obviously someone that you've been listening to for a little while. How do you think he's influenced you in any way, or has he at all?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think as a producer, he's really kind of rubbed off in a great way. And, you know, even just listening to that last tune, how simple is that beat? Mm-hmm. I mean, but it just goes so hard, man. I mean, you can nod your head until you break your neck on that tune. And so I think first of all, that's definitely a big thing you can take away is, you know, minimalism in production. If the music and everything, all the ingredients are good, you know, some of the best dishes in the world that you'd eat, you know, they have like 5 ingredients and they just blend them in a way that it just tastes the part, you know what I mean? And music's the same way. It doesn't have to have a billion spices thrown in to be great. I mean, it can be simple elements that add up to something great. But yeah, with Kanye, man, I feel like in all his production, even you know, when it came out in the mid-2000s, Jesus Walks and all those tunes, I mean, that sound was so iconic. Like, taking those samples and that last tune as well, you know, those vocal samples and pitching them up, like, you hear it all the time on like techno and dance music, really. And nowadays, like, it's pretty mainstay to hear vocals that are altered in pitch, like whether it be way down and it's like emphasizing like Macklemore or whatever. He used that all the time. But yeah, using those different elements and pitching them up or down, and he learned that from Jay Dilla. I think we mentioned it earlier, but Q-Tip introduced Jay Dilla to Kanye, and a lot of stuff that Kanye did too with post editing and even live mixing on his live shows, his earlier stuff when he had a drum machine going. He would do the same thing that Dilla would do, where he would use filters, like on the and a filter would basically be turning down a frequency band in the music. So on the chorus, he would always have the highs turned up, and you could hear the ride cymbal and the click of the hi-hat. And then when the verse came, he would dump the highs out, and all you'd hear is the low. So that's what like lo-fi music comes from. It's basically like cutting all the high frequencies and having that kind of low melodramatic kind of sound. And then right back to the chorus, you can hear it crank up the filter, and then all those tings and pops from the cymbal are back in, and it's a really cool sound, man.
Yeah, it's almost like a whole different beast, when you're doing, because we talked about it briefly earlier, but almost like the respect that, especially for people who don't know any better, you think, oh, all they're doing is just hitting a few buttons on a pad, and that's it, they call it a day. And as opposed to an actual, they'll say like, oh, an actual drummer who's sitting there with the actual physicality, you're hitting the boom, boom, it shows that with all these different added layers and filters that you're doing to your plugins or whatever you decided to sample, you can turn something very minimalistic and expand upon it. And it takes a whole different level of brain usage and mentality to create these certain tunes like Kanye is doing versus someone who is doing something more jazzy, like live instrumentation over a drum kit. And it shows that you can't to me, I don't think you can really compare the two.
Ultimately it's
two different things.
It's like an entirely new skill.
Yeah,
it's like a new instrument within itself.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah, and it is new. It's super new. When it comes the last 20-30 years maybe, and so 30 years. Oh my gosh,
30, yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah.
the fact that they made all this new music, like going back to this one we're listening to right now. Yeah. I mean, there's really two parts to it. The drum beat was from a tune called "Just Be Black, Baby." All right, and it's 110 BPM. It was the perfect tempo, and it's like an old hit, really. It's from like I believe the early 70s, and then the flute and violin and everything else you're hearing is from a Joe Sample tune called "The Color Is Black Is the Color." That's the tune, a Joe Sample tune, and the way he put them together and added the keyboard in as well, you can kind of hear that electric piano doubling the chords in the background. It really just it is new music. It's just its own thing, and it really is cool.
More than anything, it just opens your options.
It definitely does. Yeah. Like we said, no excuse, man.
As an artist,
there's so much that you can do now with it. Man, we can keep talking all night. We only have 9 minutes left, guys. Isn't that crazy? Wow. 8:51. I know, this should be a 3-hour show now.
Let's do it.
Right? Oh my gosh. We're gonna play, I think hopefully we have time for 2 more, but we were having good talk about Anderson .Paak. Good conversation about Anderson .Paak, and that gentleman is, wow, talk about influence nowadays. I think he's that next stepping stone, when it comes to older guys like Q-Tip, Tribe Called Quest, Diggable Planets, Far Side, Pete Rock, Jay Dilla, that era, when the 90s, late 90s. And then you have the new school when it comes more like Kanye. Of course, I can't think of any other guys.
Such an artist that makes such a big, profound sound with such a simple input.
And then his technical skill on the drums. It's
really, as you were saying, Chris, what does he play on a 4-piece kit?
That's right. Yeah. 4-piece 70s era Ludwig and a Black Beauty snare drum, which is also a Ludwig. And the way he muffles his drums, and his recent project with Bruno Mars, Silk Sonic, they've actually been able to recreate and bring back, for the thirsty people that want it, which seems to be a lot of people that crave that dead drums and the mute bass with the flat wound strings. It has a 70s sound to it, even though it's mastered in today's standards and everything's super clean. The way they make all the instruments sound before production, even mixing or anything, is just so iconic, and I think people really dig that kind of retro vibe that he puts out.
Absolutely, yeah. And I like how you talked about the mastering on that album too, on Silk Sonic. That is some of the best mastering in recent times, I think. If you've ever sat down and listened to that album with a good pair of headphones, it's mixed and mastered so well. A lot of backing behind that album too, because there's a gentleman named D Mile. I'm a huge fan of his. Have you heard of D Mile, Chris?
I can't say I have.
Yeah.
No.
Well, we'll play some, maybe here in a few episodes or so. But D Mile has produced a lot of the new age guys, like actually Victoria Monet, their album or her album Jaguar. Lucky Day produced a lot of his stuff, and then also produced, like I said, Silk Sonic. He is bringing in a lot of that live instrumentation, but also being able to sample it and then put it into the song in a certain way where it just all comes together. I like how you said earlier, Chris, about he feels like a chef, Yeah. He's putting everything together, throwing it on the burner. He's taking it out, spicing it up a little bit, but coming out in this minimalistic, it feels minimalistic, but there's so much layering going on behind it that when you put it in your mouth and you taste it, you sort of like, man, it just sort of sinks in, and you can taste everything coming in at once. That's D Mile.
Oh, yeah.
But let's go back to what we were talking about before. Let's listen to Anderson .Paak. This next one is called Without You, featuring Rhapsody, and it actually samples a Hiatus Coyote song. So sort of pertains back. A lot of Hiatus Coyote, a lot of Jay Dilla tonight. Let's go ahead and get into that song. It's called Without You by Anderson .Paak.
Is you with me or not? I'm from the city where they wear bikinis in a water drought, but I'm used to having cyclones blowing in and out of my life, so it's no biggie if you need time to figure it out. With all the kissing, the touching, the biting and tucking, you know I love it. You know I love it. All the spitting, the cursing, the fighting and fussing, you know I'm on the bitch. If I was on the thing, if I could, I'd take it everywhere. But you know I can't do nothing. You know I can't do nothing. No, I never looked as good as I do, and it's the truth. No, nothing without you.
You know you wrong, you out of pocket. Remember you was couch surfing, you ain't have a casa. Had me casa, I would buy your shoes from out the locker. Even though I heard around the town from all the gossip, between their legs and sliding limousines and garages. Heard your mama cheated on your daddy, you just like her. Come around, remember what happened to Tiger. Game over, dead wrong, Biggie Wallace. I was the one you counted on before you stacked your wireless. Talking about me, but you the one with problems. Ha, you played yourself for a photo, that you ain't know though. I only took for trying to slide up in the DM and show him I was happy with I was seeing, but you stupid, so I guess I go and see him as you contemplate how to get me back like Liam. No, night, I be gone by the PM.
With all the kissing, the touching, the biting and tucking, you know I love it. You know I love it. All the spitting, the cursing, the fighting and fussing, you know I'm on the bitch. If I was on the thing, if I could, I'd take it everywhere. No, I can't do nothing. No, I never looked as good as I do, and it's the truth. No, I'm nothing without you.
Might not get yet, might not get any better. Might not get yet, might not get any better.
That outro right there, that's straight from high
that
school.
taking us out there?
That was Hiatus Coyote signing it off for us right there at the end of that. But that was Anderson .Paak with his own little mix on it. We were just talking about how silky smooth his vocals are. There's nothing like that guy out right now. I can't think of anyone else that is doing the same thing that he's doing. What a special guy.
Yeah, man.
Silk Sonic. Man, that was off Malibu. That was by far, I think, his magnum opus. That's something you can play start to finish. Have you guys ever listened to Malibu?
Oh, yeah. Great album.
Great album. Talk about good mixing and mastering too. But man, I think we're gonna have to start signing off here, guys. It is 8:59. So, how we feel, guys? Good episode.
It was fun, man.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was a good little time, huh? Let's get that J Dilla beat back in here. There we go. All right, guys, you've been tuned into KGVM Bozeman 95.9 FM or KGVM.org. With me, I had Chris Naro. Chris, thank you for being here, man.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, buddy. And, of course, Jorgen Johnson. Appreciate you being here, buddy.
Pleasure as always, Chris. Thank you for chatting with us.
Much love, guys. Well, we're going to sign off here. This has been DevFM with me, Devon Brosnan. Remember to open your mind, lead with your heart, and begin with acceptance. We're going to let this beat right out, guys. Thank you so much.